this short voiceover presentation is to give you an overview of the module guide and just highlight some of the important information in it. First thing I want to do is just show you where to find the module guide on Moodle. So if you log on to your Lawyer Skills Moodle page, you should find that you get a screen a little similar to this, indicating the correct module, LW6011. You'll see that the Moodle format is actually in a broken down topic approach, and if you click the left hand button there, it'll open up all of the resources that are within each topic. So this is the general resources tab, and you'll see within that I've put in two versions of the module guide, an Adobe version and a Word version. They are identical. The advantage of the Adobe version is that it is sometimes easy to access if you're using a mobile or tablet other than an iPad, which sometimes struggles with Adobe, but one or the other version should hopefully work one way or another. So if we just go into the Adobe version of the module guide, you should see a version something like this. You'll see that there should be an active contents page. You should be able to access each of the topics by clicking on the link. So here, if we pop on module content, it will take us down to a very brief overview of the aims and also the module descriptor. So very briefly, before we just go back up and have a look at what else is here, the key idea of the module is to give you some experience and introduction into some of the key skills which you will deploy as a lawyer, but also you will deploy in any other professional capacity if you get there, but they are particularly important to lawyers. The module focuses on interviewing and negotiation and drafting. So if we just scroll back up to the top, we'll see we also have the module descriptor we've mentioned, the module program, which I'll briefly talk about. So that's we'll just set out what we will be covering. So the first session, which you've probably already had by the time you've looked at this, is just an introduction to the idea of what drafting is. That'll be followed in a couple of weeks' time by a session on an introduction to negotiation, and then in the week commencing the 24th of July, we'll have three sort of fairly intensive days basically having a go at those skills. So we'll do three negotiation exercises, and we will also effectively by that point have done three exercises in drafting. So the ethos of the module is very much to have a go at this, and it's really the only way that you can learn these soft skills. You'll notice as we come further down that the assessments are also penciled in on the schedule. So the negotiation element of the assessment, and I'll come to that in a minute, is on the 28th of July, and the drafting is handed in for the 23rd of August, but I will say a bit more about those in a second. We'll just scroll back up. You'll see also that there are two other items in the contents, and that is the details of assessment briefs and the recommended reading, so we'll have a look at those now in turn. So there are two elements of assessment for this module. You'll see that I've given an overview here in the module guide, and the two items are equally weighted, so they both count for 50% for your assessment for the module. One relates to an exercise in negotiating, so you will be paired with another student and asked to have a go at negotiating a settlement in relation to a fairly sort of basic contract type issue. There's no particular requirement to have any legal understanding of the topic, and there's no specifically legal issues required in terms of research and preparation. It's very much just looking at your skills of negotiating. It will be a 20-minute assessment, and as I say, you'll be conducting that in conjunction with another student. You'll find out your role and the details in the brief a couple of days before the actual assessment takes place. One further point is it does seem like you don't have too much time to prepare. You'll have a couple of days, But the preparation really is about thinking about your negotiation strategy and being very clear on your instructions and the background facts. There is not too much more outside that in terms of the preparation. The second element of assessment is a written assessment of your drafting skills. So you'll be handing out some background information, some heads of terms, so some outline points of agreement, which you'll then need to turn into a working draft contractual agreement. So we'll look in the context of the module at various different situations where drafting can take place, but in our practice we'll be very much focusing on similar tasks as those you'll be asked to do in the assessment. The assessment briefs are also in the module guide, so please feel free to look at them. We will be discussing the assessment criteria in more detail in the introductory sessions, but they are there and in the module guide for you to have a look over and obviously have a think about when you're preparing and doing your assessments. Finally, just come to the recommended reading. There is not too much background reading that we need to do. As I've already mentioned, the emphasis is on actually having a go and getting involved at the exercises of drafting and negotiating and developing your skills through doing. However, there are some useful background resources to be aware of. So you'll be referred to a couple of chapters from these textbooks, Skills for Lawyers and Lawyers' Skills, both of which will be available on Moodle, but also are available in the library. And secondly, there are some additional suggested readings which you might want to think about to underpin approaches and theories to negotiating and drafting. So while I wouldn't say they're absolutely essential, they'll certainly give you a better understanding and hopefully a better approach to both of those skills. Again, chapter from Getting to Yes, or the relevant material in particular, I think will be made available on Moodle for you, and the other books should be available in the library. One final point, which we will have a look at hopefully in the drafting session, is another resource that you'll make use of is the Encyclopedia of Forms and Precedent. This is an incredibly useful resource for drafting documents. It's not necessarily the easiest thing to find your way around to start with, but again, part of the exercise is getting you used to this sort of approach. So we will have a quick look at that, and I'll show you where that is in the library.